Dad bought new clothes for his son, but the son broke down and cried sadly because the little boy seemed to sense that his father was about to disappear. Early that morning, the son saw his father shaking nonstop while pouring orange juice. He needed both hands together just to stay basically steady. When he wanted to take a sip of the yogurt his father had left, Dad hurriedly and roughly snatched it away and would not let him drink. He also seriously warned him not to touch anything he had eaten again. The 3-year-old son was scared by his father. He could not understand why Dad had become a different person, and Dad always took him to meet strange strangers as if he was going to abandon him. After breakfast, Dad sent his son to the nursery as usual, but he himself went to the adoption agency. He wanted to find a new pair of parents for his son as soon as possible. The staff were very surprised after hearing this. They concluded that John was an extremely irresponsible father. However, John did not defend himself. He just sadly explained the reason. He had been diagnosed with an incurable terminal illness not long ago. He had very little time left, but the son's mother had abandoned the father and son when he was born and was never heard from again. He really had no other choice. John could not imagine how his 3-year-old son would live alone after he passed away. After learning about John's sad and helpless reason, the staff expressed deep sympathy and regret for him. Then they asked him to go through the process and fill out the adoption forms. After finishing all this, John went to the nursery to pick up his son and go home. However, the son, who was always well behaved, suddenly threw a tantrum today. After hearing his son's angry accusations, John felt extremely guilty inside. When he was cleaning the window, he saw that other people's children had a whole room full of toys, but his own son could only play with a pile of plates. John blamed himself for not being able to give his son a better life, but soon things took a turn for the better. A wealthy couple planned to adopt his son. They had a huge and luxurious manor. It even needed special staff to take care of it, and the couple also looked very kind. They did not hide their love for the child. They also promised to send him to the best school for education and let him enjoy the best material life. For John, who had been struggling to make a living all his life, this was undoubtedly a huge temptation, and his son also liked the novel and spacious environment here. Just when John almost thought leaving his son with them was the best choice, a casual remark from the husband instantly made him change his mind. It turned out they already had a biological child. John thought his son might be treated differently. When the children had conflicts, would they treat them equally? John did not dare to risk his son's future. The next day he sent his son to kindergarten as usual. The son suddenly looked up and asked why other kids had moms but he did not. Looking at his son's wronged and young face, John's heart felt tightly squeezed by an invisible giant hand, so painful he could barely breathe. How he wished he could tell his son the truth, that his mother was a woman who cruelly abandoned them, but reality did not allow it. John could only make up a gentle lie. Under his father's evasive answers, the son grew up peacefully day by day. Although John was repeatedly tortured by his illness, he still quietly read fairy tales to his son on quiet nights. On sunny days, he played happily with his son in the park. He also took his son to see his favorite trucks and excavators, and explained how they worked beside him. At that moment, the son's eyes were full of happiness. These were also the happiest moments at the end of John's life. He just wanted to try his best to spend more time with his son, at least to let his son have more happy times in his limited days.